We don't have to tell you how awesome anime is. If you're watching this video, we're guessing you're a fan. But did you know that plenty of your favorite cartoons growing up are actually anime in disguise? That's right, you've been watching anime way longer than expected. But can you really blame cartoons for wanting to be like anime? Anime's great! We wish everything had more of an anime flair to it. It would certainly make life a whole lot more interesting. Today's video is all about cartoons pretending to be anime. So, let's get into it, right now. Avatar the Last Airbender. The holy grail of cartoons, Avatar the Last Airbender is not only one of the greatest cartoons ever, but we're ready to fight anyone who says it's not one of the greatest television shows of all time. And unless you were born under a rock, it's pretty clear it's basically a westernized anime. Its art style and design is a clear homage to popular anime. Still not convinced? It even had the classic anime beach episode. Check and mate. But seriously, almost every element about the show feels ripped right from anime. All the strange and bizarre creatures like Momo and Appa, the classic character tropes, the character designs and animation, yeah, they all give off that distinct anime vibe. And above all else, it's clear that the soul of Avatar the Last Airbender is so purely anime. We just wish we were more spiritual in order to explain it more. If only Uncle Iroh was here, he'd make us a nice hot cup of tea and explain it in a better way than we ever could. Teen Titans. Teen Titans is another beloved cartoon from our past that definitely falls under the American anime umbrella. It was one of the defining superhero cartoons in the mid-2000s that was a perfect blend of grit, humor, and heart. Depending on which episode you turn on, you might get a wacky entry where Robin, Beast Boy, and Cyborg's souls are trapped in puppets while Starfire and Raven switch bodies. Or you might get a seriously twisted episode like Haunted, where we get to see Robin tormented by the apparent ghost of Slade while he slowly loses his sanity. Yeah, no other superhero cartoon could balance the humor and darkness like Teen Titans, which is why we were all devastated to see the show canceled, and outraged when the more kid-friendly Teen Titan Go popped up as a replacement. Now, we have nothing against Teen Titans Go. It's actually a really funny and clever show, but it doesn't match the same height set by its predecessor. And really, we can thank its anime influences for the show being so successful. The Legend of Korra. If Avatar the Last Airbender made this list, you can bet its sequel series earned a spot here as well. Although not quite as beloved as the original series, The Legend of Korra is still an excellent 4-season show. The great thing about The Legend of Korra is that it got to explore similar spiritual themes that the original explored, but does so in a more modern setting. The world evolved fast in the Avatar universe, and The Legend of Korra utilized its steampunk and industrial revolution setting to set up a world that felt a little like Fullmetal Alchemist. But what's truly cool about it is that the exploration of technology in the show led to the series being able to pay homage to the granddaddy of all anime genres, the mech anime. We're not sure how they pulled it off, but by the time season 4 of Korra rolled around, our group of heroes were literally fighting a giant robot in a spectacular final battle, reminiscent of some of the best anime robot fights we've come to know and love. Samurai Jack. Out of all the options on this list, we think you'd be forgiven the most for thinking Samurai Jack is actually an anime and not a cartoon. Because just look at it. It screams anime from every fiber of its being. And it doesn't hide its Asian influences or art design at all. The show originally premiered on Cartoon Network way back in 2001 and followed an unnamed samurai as he fights against the ultimate evil known as Aku, only to be sent to a dystopian future where Aku is ruler over everything. The samurai then adopts the titular name Lord Quincy Bellingham Propersburg III. But that's too long to put on a business card, so he just lets people call him Jack instead. The series was created by Genndy Tartakovsky, who also created the classic Dexter's Laboratory cartoon. Tartakovsky enjoyed samurai culture, as well as the classic television show Kung Fu, and wanted to make something in the same vein. The show was a critical hit thanks to its art style, subject matter, and imagination. And not to be biased or anything, but we're pretty sure the show's opening animation won the award for funkiest opening of all time. Wata! Batman Beyond. If you're cruising Crunchyroll and can't seem to find a solid cyberpunk anime to satisfy that particular itch, then we recommend loading up an older episode of Batman Beyond, a show that takes place in the future where Batman needs to take his bat pills to help with his bat-thritis. Fine, that's not what the show's about, but we'd still watch it even if it was. Batman Beyond takes place in 2039 in the futuristic Neo-Gotham. Enter Terry McGinnis, an 18-year-old who looks at least 30 who takes on the mantle of Batman as he fights crime in a high-tech batsuit. The art style is really intriguing, taking a lot of elements we liked from Batman the Animated Series and giving it a really cool futuristic upgrade. And yeah, whenever they want to make a live-action version with Michael Keaton returning as Batman, we are totally ready for it. The Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls was a superhero show before superhero media consumed our every waking moment. It was funny, cute, and had a fun look to it. And if we call it an anime, it makes up for the fact that our trio of butt-kicking children actually look a little horrifying. If this was just a normal cartoon, we'd have to mention how everyone else looks mostly like a real human being. But the Powerpuff Girls themselves have gigantic heads, bulbous eyes, and stumps for hands that they sometimes used to play rock, paper, scissors with or wear gloves? How does that work? If this was an anime, we'd call in a typical anime art style. But if it's not, then we'd have to admit the Powerpuff Girls were made with a little too much chemical X and look a little freakish to the outside world. Spawn the Animated Series. Usually, anime are adapted from manga, so is it safe to call Spawn the Animated Series an anime as it was adapted from a comic book? Okay, that's a bit of a stretch, we know, but how about this? Did you know the second season of the show was animated by Studio Madhouse, the famed Japanese animation studio? It definitely gave the show its anime edge because, well, it was animated by a traditional anime studio. Spawn the Animated Series is the definition of a show ahead of its time. It premiered in the late 1990s on HBO at midnight in a time where adult animation shows were considered risky. Although the first season of the show is debatably its most well-structured story-wise, it was still struggling a bit to find out exactly what animation style to use. It had a lot of talented people working on it, but something just wasn't right. That changed with Madhouse coming aboard in Season 2. It set a new visual style standard to the show, which made it look so much better, but also infused it with more anime elements. If you like dark cartoons, check out Spawn. Voltron, Legendary Defender. Back in the wild, lawless time known as the 1980s, a legendary robot would begin its meteoric rise to the top of animated robo-superiority. And his name was Voltron. But the series began as something else entirely. Originally, there was a Japanese super robot anime television show called Beast King Go Lion. But soon that show was edited, trimmed, and dubbed over to create the American show Voltron Defender of the Universe. Fast forward to 2016, and Voltron got its very own revival in DreamWorks' Voltron Legendary Defender, which aired on Netflix for 8 seasons. It has an undeniable anime influence in its style and its characters because, well, it was based off of a show that was originally an anime. The Boondocks. The Boondocks, which is a hilariously not safe for work animated cartoon, is an anime in everything except for the tiny fact it was made in America. MOI Animation, which is an animation studio in South Korea, came on board for Season 2, which gave the show a much more polished and detailed look, as well as slightly revamping a lot of the character designs. Even the fight scenes have a distinctive anime look. The animation has grown and evolved with every passing season to look more like anime, with its most recent season airing in 2014. Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi. Let's talk about one of the best idol anime out there that's not even a real anime. And that, of course, is the Cartoon Network show Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi. If the catchy theme song didn't automatically wiggle its way into your head, then you need to pause this video and go watch the opening again. The cartoon followed the optimistic and peppy Ami and her best friend, the sarcastic, tough punk rocker Yumi, as 2 Japanese pop stars traveling around the world on tour. The characters are based off of real-life Japanese pop duo Puffy Ami Yumi. So it's basically a true story, you know, minus all the animation and crazy random situations the girls find themselves in. So just going off of that, the show is an anime in everything, except for where it's produced. Well, that's our list of cartoons that pretend to be anime. Which cartoon did you watch that had a distinct anime feel? Be sure to let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching.